right now. It's Jeremy Shaw down in the pit lane, Craig Kramer and me, John Hindhaugh, in the booth. It's IMSA Radio Live from Long Beach, and qualifying for the third round of the Tudor United Sports Car Championship for 2015 is just around the corner. Is Bill Oblin going to do it then? Is that...
Well,
keep the streak going.
It would keep the streak going. The man is magic around here. We've seen what he could do. He's fastest in that session. Not to pour water on that potential fun little flame, but I did check in with the Corvette guys on my way over here and looked at Danny Binks, and he was kind of busy, but I just looked at him and I said, "Everything go right this morning?" He went, "Oh yeah, it was fine." And I went, "You got it for qualifying?" He said, "We're feeling pretty good." I think, and we've seen that, didn't we, all morning? It was, as you put it once, the automotive arc, pair by pair, Corvette and BMW. This is going to be a great scrap.
Not counting out Porsche either. No. They've found a bit of speed in that session there. Best in terms of their finishing position in the two sessions that we've had was third. And, you know, if you've got a Porsche that's third quickest, in the amount of times we're talking about, is less than a blink of an eye. And when you're talking about, all right, you might talk about even half a second, but, you know, that isn't even a tenth at every corner around here. As for the front end of the field, we'll talk about that in a moment. But Oz Negri is down with Jeremy. Is Oz going to qualify, Jeremy?
Yeah, Oz will qualify the car. The Falcon Tower Porsche has fired up its engine right behind us, but also the car was much better in that practice session. Let's let the Porsche go away, thank you very much. The car much better in that session, but you weren't able to run the full 35 minutes.
No, unfortunately we had a electronic issue with the engine management system, and we lost more than half of the session. I couldn't get through the gears. We were pretty far off setup-wise in the beginning of the first session, so we did a huge change in the car, and we improved it quite a bit, but not enough. We were hoping to do a couple of changes before qualifying. John will qualify the car, you know, we have what we have right now. The car is very, very tough under braking over the bumps, and we are not being able to use the curbs like this track to go quick through some of the corners. You've got to eat the curbs. We can't get it. Yeah. You know, it just throws the car too far out of line, and it's kind of not nice.
Two other things off subject here. First of all, new paint scheme this weekend. A different aero paint on design on the car.
It looks nice, doesn't it?
It does look good. Blue primarily. What's it called? This color? What were we like before? Crimson Chrome before, weren't we? Do you know? You should know this, shouldn't you?
No,
You've forgotten. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Hey, the other thing, Ozzy, though, it's interesting to me. I was watching over turn 8 and 9 at the beginning of this session. Your line through 8 and then down to 9, very different to most of the other guys here.
Yeah, like I'm saying, especially turn 8, where you need to get over the curbs. I wasn't able to get in the angle that I wanted, and not as much as I wanted. So I was just doing, what the car would let us do it, and just try to manhandling it. And it was much better now on this last session. So
good. We'll see how it goes. Qualifying for GTLM already underway, guys.
Perfect timing. Jeremy Shaw with Oz Negri down there in the Michael Shank Racing pit, and the Corvettes have gone out early. The Falcon Tyres car we heard firing up has now come straight back into the pit lane, but the 3 Corvette already out on what looks to be a quick run. This could be smart tactics, getting out there with no one else on the track already through turn 7 and heading off down the back straight. A little bit of darkness and shade over there at the moment, with the sun quite high in the sky coming in through our studio windows. You're live from Long Beach. This is qualifying for the Tudor United Sports Car Championship for 2015, round 3. And here comes the vet round the final corner. Greg, looks neat and tidy. This has been a good run for the 3 car.
I think this is a brilliant strategy. I mean, it's a 15-minute session. This time of day, you're not going to get that much of a temperature change in 15 minutes. You're not going to get that much of a sunlight change. So Jan Magnussen, I think he went out there and said, wow, wide open track. Let's go throw down a lap. and see what we have here. And there's nobody else out there. Now we see the Falcon Tire car heading out. Patrick Play comes by, start finish in the number 911 Porsche 911. Ricard Lietz in the 912 goes by. So now everybody's starting to jump into the pool here. But I think, whoa, that's how you got to drive it here if you want to find the speed. Does it right to the walls.
Patrick Play, and there is a little mark on the wall on the exit of the Fountain Complex there, and I can't see from this distance. Even with the TV, was it a bit red? I think it might have been. There might have been a bit of white Porsche pin, Grand Prix white going on there as well. Pele in the 911, Richard Lietz in the 912, Jan Magnussen in the 3. Those guys on quick laps at the moment, but spread out nicely on the circuit, so not holding each other up. Didn't see who went out in the 17 car, but it's Ollie Gavin in the 4 who's just gone through. Brian Sellers, I'm told, from Jeremy. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jeremy, rather. And that car came back into the pits after a sighting lap, Jeremy. What was the issue there with the 17 car?
Speed violation. Too fast on the pit lane. That's it. Had to do a drive-through penalty. So that's why the 17 car was onto pit lane. Back out again now. All good.
Jeremy, the man on the spot down there in the pit lane as Patrick Pele goes through into second. Oh, hello. This has an interesting look about it. And Richard Lietz goes through into second. So it's now Corvette, Porsche, Corvette. Those are the 4 guys who've done times. Surprisingly, 1.3 seconds between the top 4 at the moment. And out also the number 25 car, the BMW, the IHG Rewards Club sponsored machine. The 25 is the white one with the motorsport stripes on. No sign of the Ferrari coming out yet. Jeremy Shaw is still down there as we wait for more improvements. What news from Reese?
Lots of racer tape down here being used on both corners of the car, and the right side as well. I think they're having a problem keeping the back bumper on the car primarily, it seems. It's not the fasteners, presumably not fastening, so they're having to tape it all together, and lots of crashing and banging going down here, hands against bodywork, and then tape holding it all in place. It doesn't look quite as pretty as it did before, but they should get this car back out on track in a minute or two. How long is it to go in the session? 9.5
minutes.
Right. So they should have plenty of time then.
And I just want to point out, and we have it, a new track record of 1:17.739, John. Jan Magnussen, the old record is 17.93. Now we're at a 17.73 by Jan Magnussen. And Ollie Gavin had come through and had just turned an 18 flat. And then Magnussen followed him through at that 17.7. Brilliant lap, and we have yet to see either of the BMWs set their time. They're both out now, but they haven't come around and completed their lap, and I think we got one that's looking for a little gap.
Yeah, this is the white car, the light. I mean, great from Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan to have 2 cars in such iconic colours schemes, but so immediately recognisable for us myopic commentators, as through comes the Velocity yellow Corvette across the line now. Jan Magnussen 17.7, Oliver Gavin 17.7. 0.017 between those two at the moment. I'll say it, I've said it many times before, I'll say it again. You absolutely cannot Jeremy Shaw, just put your mic up for a moment.
He missed it. It just went out.
Has it just gone out?
That was the Ferrari, number 62 Ferrari, joining this qualifying session for the first time. Brilliant work by the Reese guys. Just to finish off the point about Team Corvette, you can never complain about favouritism in that team, because if there's half a second between the 2 cars in any session, that's all there ever is. I mean, they do prepare 2 cars pretty much identically. It's 3 from 4 from 912 from 911, because Richard Lietz has just gone through. He's done an 18 exactly, 1:18.000. So it's now just 0.6 of a second between the top 4, with Brian Sellers and Bill Auberland getting up to speed. If Bill Auberland is going to take a pole position here in his very much home race, a man who hails from Redondo Beach, and if he's going to do that, he will become the 14th different consecutive pole sitter in GT-LM, and he'll have to beat a new qualifying, turn a new qualifying lap record, because we've already got one here with Jan Magnussen's 17.739. So who has got the tyres and the car underneath them? Brian Sellers coming to the end of the back straight, turns in the right-hander underneath the crossover bridge, the Firestone bridge there.
Hugs the wall tightly on the left-hand side, letting that's very clever actually, that opens out the entrance to the hairpin, gets the power on a little bit early, and the back end of the Porsche sits down as he charges for the line. It's a decent run to the line from Brian. Does he improve? 19.144, he does, but doesn't get a better position. It's very windy out there at the moment as he goes into turn 1, right on the yellow line. Wow, that front end on that 17 car looked good as he turned in. But here's the BMW, Greg, and is this going to be something competitive?
Well, I think this is the car just completing his outlap. This is the 24 IH3 Rewards Club machine in the hands of John Edwards, who comes through. And his first flying lap, a 17.9. Wow, indeed. Boy, did he hook one up. And there, finally, we see Fisichella out in the Ferrari.
And he's been given the qualifying run by Giuseppe Risi, new rear wing tacked on, and plenty of red racer tape. Actually, you know, from a distance, that car still looks pretty good as Bill Oberlin goes to the pole provisionally, and by nearly 4/10. That's not beating it, that is taking it apart and smashing it with a hammer. Bill Oberlin, new qualifying lap record, 1:17.345 provisionally. The 14th different pole sitter in 14 races in GT, LM, and the 25 BMW sits atop the charts.
Well, you know what? I had talked to him on Wednesday night. I did an interview with he and Eric Curran down at the Roar in the Shore. And afterwards, I mean, we were talking it up as you do, but afterwards I looked over at Bill and I went, you know, he hasn't, you know, you think about it, he hasn't had a win since 2013 here. The last time the BMWs have won was 2013 Lime Rock. They've been fast, but they haven't had the win. And I looked at him and I said, how bad do you want this one? He just looked at me and went, oh, Greg. He said, I want this so bad. And when Bill is in that mind frame, it's amazing what he can do. We have a BMW 1-2 now as Edwards sneaks through at a 17.5, John, in the 24.
And they're still 4/10 ahead of the Corvettes, led by Jan Magnussen. So it's 25-24, 3 and 4, the two Corvettes, then the two Works Porsche. Now this really is Noah's Ark. BMW, then it's Corvette, Porsche, Porsche with the third Porsche, and Giancarlo Fisichella still to put in a competitive time. I say that, he's done an 18.9, which is quicker than any one of us could probably jump into that car and drive. Oh, big turn-in oversteer on the 24 for John Edwards as he headed into turn number 6. He's down the hill towards 7 now, but he must have lost a bit of time there as the back end of the BMW decided it wanted to try and overtake the front, and John, with cat-like reflexes, managed to get that car somewhere near the apex. I'm not sure how much time he did lose, but it wasn't too much, but that will have woken him up if he wasn't already. 4 minutes still to go, and it looks like everyone is staying out. A little lock-up for John there coming into the hairpin at the end of the lap. It's an untidy one, and the worst news is he's probably ruined his exit from the hairpin, and that'll cost him on the first part of his next lap as well. A lot of people staying out. Jan Magnussen, though, the first of the top runners to come in, and he's gonna do pressures. He's gonna bleed a bit of pressure and get out quickly.
And Oberlin, by the way, in his last time by set another lap, John, that was good enough for pole. His pole lap right now, provisionally, is a whoa, and he does it again at 1:17.268. Oberlin drops it again. So he's turned in his last 3 laps, he's turned a 13.5, a 17.5. Let me try this again. A 17.35, a 17.36, and now a 17.2.
Yeah.
All of them good enough for pole.
Yeah.
I think Bill is in the proverbial zone.
Yeah. And he's still only, less than 0.2 of a second away from John Edwards getting a chance to have another look at that turning. Oh, how did he get? Do you know what? That wasn't a bad line through the corner. He just took a huge amount of speed to the apex. That was MotoGP style, backing it in with the back end of the car looking really loose. And all of a sudden, Brian Sellers in the pit, both of the Corvettes in the pit lane, and Bill Oberlin still out there. It's the two BMWs. Jeremy Shaw down in the pit lane. This is brilliant pace we're seeing from the two BMWs.
It is indeed, and Jan Magnussen here just hopped out of the number 3 Corvette. Jan, as much as you can do.
Yeah, I think so. It was a good lap. This is as fast as we've gone. We improved the car from this last practice to qualifying, made a good step forward. But, it wasn't quite enough for the BMWs. So we'll race them tomorrow and see what comes out of that.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you.
Patrick Peely on a quick one at the moment. That was Jan Magnussen with Jeremy Shaw. Just getting a chance to have another look at the slight lock-up by John Edwards. That was a couple of laps ago. Now, Cam Peely on tyres that have already done 5 laps around here. Can he haul this 911 up from 7th position? He needs to find 9/10 of a second to get somewhere near Bill Auberlen. If he finds half a second, he'll vault up to probably the 2nd row. And he comes across the line now. Does he improve? He does not. An 18.2 against an 18.1, which is his best time at the moment. And the Porsches have fallen away in this qualifying session. Just wonder if the heat is getting the best of them. Normally you'd back a Porsche when it starts to get greasy and slidey. Certainly that was the case, wasn't it, at Sebring when the conditions were very slippery. As the 25 is in the pit lane. Bill Auberlen is getting out a 1:17.2 as his teammate is off it and won't get round for another one. So no challenge from John Edwards. Let's go down to Jeremy Shaw and the hate being talked to before the flags come out. But with 35 seconds out there at the moment, there's still Giancarlo, Richard and Patrick Peely out there, but John Edwards is slowing down. The helmet is about to come off the IHG Rewards Club driver, and Bill Auberlen, very much on home ground here, is about to talk to our Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, first of all, there's still a few seconds to go in this session, Bill, but just talk about what it was like here to win this race a few years ago.
All right, let's talk about that because
the session's not over yet.
It's not over yet, right? Oh, man, because last year we sat in the same position on the pole, and then at the very end, there comes Magnussen, boom, and I fell to P2. So we got our fingers crossed.
So I'm not going to ask you about that yet.
Winning this race, okay? This is my home race. I live in Redondo Beach, California, so just down the street from here. So I'm a Southern California native, just like all these awesome people that are around here. So I feel their energy. This track is my home track of all things, and of all the races we go to, let's say Daytona, Sebring, Le Mans, this is the crown jewel for me. I don't want to win any race more than this one.
And there is such a history here. It is such a fabulous event. The weather is absolutely perfect. As you said, there's a lot of people here on a Friday.
I mean, it's who doesn't want to be here? Look, I'm looking at the yard house, and that is the perfect backdrop with all these boats on Shoreline Drive. Everybody's over there having a beer, probably, and I'm over here sweating my guts out.
It's a good idea, that, actually.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So it's the perfect place to have a race, and I hope we get to keep coming here year after year.
Bill, it's 5:45 here in actual fact. The checkered flag is out. We think the last car, the only other car that perhaps could beat you is Giancarlo Fisichella. We don't think he's fast enough to damage the car. Can we talk about how it feels now that maybe be on the pole position here?
All right, let's talk about this. We came out of Sebring. I'm 46 years old. The guys that are on my team are the fastest in the world, and they're just out of diapers, right? So I'm the older guy. I set a new lap record in Sebring. I might be on the pole here. The old guy still has some speed left.
Again with a new lap record, half a second quicker than last year, and half a second around this track, Bill. That's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, BMW in the off season, we all worked very hard. The series gave us a little bit of speed in the straight line, which never hurts. They worked on the aerodynamics. The Rahal guys never ever quit. I mean, when Sebring was over, they started redoing stuff on the car before we came here, so they never stop. And then when you put the Michelin tires, BMW, Rahal, and these guys together, it's lethal.
Yeah, and I think we can probably confirm it now. Bill, congratulations, pole position here at Long Beach.
Yes, that's awesome. That is okay. So phase 1 complete. Now it's time to win this dumb thing. I mean, so tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we need to put this car on the top step of the podium.
Bill, thanks so much. Enjoy this evening.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant stuff from Jeremy Shaw and from Bill Auberlen. Giancarlo Fisichella bumps up to 3rd position. That was a great lap from a car that was being put together with sticky tape and sheer bloody mindedness and willpower from the Risi Competizione guys just a few moments ago.
That was a reward to the crew. That was a thanks to the crew. after that fix. You know, John, you had mentioned earlier, you said, boy, that's not the thing you want the Reese crew to be doing at the end of the session. Well, guess what? When you have to do something like that, Reese crew's clearly a good bunch to do that.
And there'll be a round of applause for the bright red Ferrari when that comes back in. But it's an all BMW front row with John Edwards breaking the old lap record as well in qualifying record at least. And he's only just, less than 2/10 away from Bill Oberlin, 25 from 24. It's a BMW lockout, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm kind of breaking the rules here, interrupting him while he's talking to his engineer. But, John, great effort there. What a day for BMW.
It's a great day for BMW. You know, as a driver on a personal level, you never want to get beat by your teammate. But if you're going to do it, you might as well be sharing the front row. So tomorrow's going to be interesting. We've got a good fight, I think, between the two cars. And hopefully we can finish the same way, at least for the brand, as we started. But we'll be pushing in the beginning to get by Bill for sure.
Yeah, and you talk about drivers here with a home track advantage. I mean, Bill literally lives a couple of miles away from here almost. So to be beat by him is not too bad, is it?
Yeah, if you're going to be beaten by anyone, then at least take the guy who's had arguably the most experience here and has that home field advantage, as you say. But we'll be pushing hard to reverse it tomorrow.
Yeah, you doubt it. It's going to be a great inter-team battle here down at BMW tomorrow evening.
Yeah, and they need to. I mean, they are looking for this would be a big win for them if they could pull out. And for Bill, that'd be huge.
Yeah,
and I want the invite to the party.
Yeah, seriously. Well, like I said earlier, when he won it in 2013, he went back. They had a big party going on in Redondo Beach, and the mayor showed up with a key to the city. So if he gets a second one here, how cool! Here's the thing, though. Oberlin, 3 laps, good enough for pole. John Edwards, 2 laps, good enough for second.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly.
And both underneath the old lap record by a margin, by the way.
And even, by the way, Fisichella getting underneath the old track record. So kudos to them. But here's the interesting thing about that. With those strings of laps, Bobby Rahal had made a comment earlier. He said if there was a track that was, if you were going to design a track that would really suit the BMW Z4, it would be Long Beach, and boy, did that come to play. Look at Kaffer.
Pierre Kaffer is looking at the side of a very non-pristine Ferrari 458 GTE car and giggling away that they've just dropped into 3rd position and beat the old lap record. And Jeremy Shaw has the man of the moment. Over half of the session was gone before he even got out on the track, Jeremy.
A late start to the session, Giancarlo. You've got to be happy with that. You're way underneath the track record. I know 3rd isn't where you want to be, but still a good comeback, you've got to say.
Yeah, let's say it's a good recovering, and considering what happened just 10 minutes before the end of the session, the beginning of the session, of the qualifying session, it's a great lap. The car was not perfect. Unfortunately, there is probably some problem with the toe and whatever, and even with the body work. But thanks to the guys, they did a fantastic job, brilliant job. So it looks promising for tomorrow. Obviously, BMW looks pretty quick, but I think we can fight for the podium. Yeah.
You know, it's a tough race here, of course. You know, the walls, it's very unforgiving, as you found out less than half an hour ago. So it's all about, you know, keeping your head straight and not making any mistakes, Giancarlo, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We need to be away from the wall and do a clean race. It's a difficult circuit to overtaking, but I think if we do a good pit stop and a good strategy, we can fight for the podium.
Nice job, well done.
Thank you.
All good stuff. A little bit of disappointment I could detect there in Giancarlo's voice, and to do that with a car that probably wasn't quite straight. Again, that's mind over matter, isn't it? He didn't mind, so ultimately it didn't matter, and that was one for the team. He was definitely giving that one up for the crew who had worked so hard. What's interesting to me is where might he have been had that car been
I was just going to say, that was the disappointment, I think, in his voice. Was I think he was thinking if that car was righteous, he may have been in with a shout for that and stealing the thunder. And again, let's remember, right now you look at that front grouping. You've got the factory BMWs, factory Corvettes, factory Porsches. Reese? It's a factory supported and helped, but it's not a factory team. To steal a march on those guys, how special would that have been? But then we wouldn't have had the streak continue. 14 consecutive races.
That is remarkable.
With a different pole
qualifier, different drive. Not necessarily the different cars, of course. No. It's obviously different drivers qualifying, but that is the 14th consecutive different driver that we've had in GTLM. Now, bear in mind that for a lot of that time, we've had 10 or a dozen cars, albeit that's 22, but we've now had more than half the field that have been represented in all of those races have had a pole in the last year now and 3 races. That goes all the way back to Daytona last year, doesn't it?
Yep.
So we are now a season and 3 races in, and we have not had the same driver capturing pole position. The top 7, excuse me, on 9/10 of a second. Brian Sellers not getting the 17 car switched on as far as its tyres were concerned. But remember, you've got to start the race on the tyres you qualified on. So I wonder if the guys from Falcon were doing something a bit tricky, and they might have something for the race tomorrow in terms of compound or construction. You never write these guys out. All of these guys will only need 1 pit stop tomorrow. So Bill Oberlin is on pole for the 25 BMW with John Edwards, his teammate, alongside him. The Ferrari number 62, the Risi car with Giancarlo Fisichella. Then it's the 2 Corvettes, 3 and 4, Jan Magnussen and Ollie Gavin. And all of those guys, by the way, the top 5 in half a second. Porsches just a little bit further back, 912 from 911, Richard Leeds from Patrick Pele, and then Brian Sellers at the back. Let's put ourselves into prototype mode, and Jeremy Shaw is down with some of the big bangers.
Indeed, in the Wayne Taylor Racing pit, the Konica Multi car number 10, just about to be taken out onto the racetrack for qualifying by Ricky Taylor. I'm with his brother Jordan. Jordan, the car seems to be in good shape. You were reasonably good this morning, 4th or 5th this morning, yeah. But then Ricky was quickest in that pre-qualifying practice session.
Yeah, I think the car is good. I mean, we rolled off the truck well. Sebring and Daytona, we rolled off the truck with issues that we battled throughout the whole weekend. So, you know, this weekend we came off the truck strong and didn't have to worry about solving any major problems, so we could work on developing the car setup. And, you know, between sessions we made a couple small adjustments, and, you know, Ricky was quickest by, I think, 2/10. So around here, that's quite a big margin. But I'm sure things will heat up a little bit in qualifying.
It's a lot breezier now than it was this morning. That's the car leaving the pit lane, by the way, behind us. It's a lot more breezy now than it was this morning. How does that affect the car? Because it's kind of a headwind here going down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think the buildings block a lot of it through like 3, 4, 5. But I think coming off of 8, you're coming down like a chute. The wind probably shoots down there, and as you come across the wall, it could upset the car a little bit. Same out of 5. So these areas where you're coming out, breaching a section, I think you could hit a gust of wind, kind of like Road Atlanta when you come down the hill and you hit something differently. It could upset it, but thankfully he did the session, so he knows what to expect.
So how much fun is it for you guys to be racing here on the streets of Long Beach?
It's great. I mean, obviously we watched it all of our lives. Last year was our first time here in person, so, you know, it's just like watching on TV, and, you know, you don't really get to see the beach as a racing driver. I only saw it from my hotel room last night, so hopefully we have something to celebrate tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Thank you.
Well, as you heard there, the green flag was thrown as Jeremy was making that interview, and you probably heard the sound of the engines firing up. This is the first start. I'd be interested to see how quickly these guys get down to the times on the Continental tyres, of course, here, with it being a spec series as far as the spec tyre as far as the rubber is concerned, whether they need to warm them up and bring them up gently, Jeremy, or whether they go for it straight away. We've got them clumping together straight away as they come across the line.
And I think it's interesting because of these 3 cars, I checked with these teams to see who's going to qualify. It's Fittipaldi will be qualifying the 5 Action Express, Whelan in the 31. When I got over to the Visit Florida guys and I said, all right, who's going to qualify? After a chat, I said, who's going to qualify? And John, I'm looking forward to some excitement in this session, because they looked at me and they said, oh, it's going to be Westy. He seems in the mood.
Oh, really?
And when Westy's in the mood, it's fun to watch, so this could be a blast.
Jeremy Shaw.
And I can tell you one guy that's not clumping out down the racetrack is Scott Pruitt, because he's sitting here right in front of me now.
Smart.
He's just fired up the engine on his Ford EcoBoost car number 01 for Chip Ganassi Racing, and he is about to go and begin his qualifying session now, several minutes after everybody else.
Also coming along the pit lane, I can't work out whether they've just come out from the the paddock, or whether they've gone out and come straight in again, was one of the Mazdas, Greg.
Yeah, it was an out and in. And also right in front of him, John Pugh brought the Mike Shank Racing Ligier HPD into the pits as well.
Could be speeding on the outlap again, as Jeremy reminds me. You've got to feel for the Michael Shank guys. I just wonder how much of those issues that Oz Negri was telling us about is down to the fact that that car has effectively been rebuilt since Sebring. That was a big, big shunt that they had on the S's on the back side of the circuit. And you're not going to get everything exactly as it was. Right. You're going to have to work on that a wee bit, and they just haven't had the time.
Well, they said that I asked John about that, and he said they did a little testing at Sebring after they rebuilt it, and they said they got the, he said car felt pretty good. It's just the nuance of that chassis, I think, on this type of track. It's just, and I looked at him, and I as I was walking away, I looked at Ozna at Mazda Raceway, and he went, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let me give you some of the drivers. It's Memo Rojas who is qualifying the Zero, the Delta Wing. Christian Fittipaldi is in the 5 Action Express car. Michael Valiente is in the number 90. Ricky Taylor, as Jeremy said, is in the 10. John Pugh in the 60. Eric Curran in the 31. That's the drivers that are out on the circuit at the moment. And let's see who has the pace. And it was Scott Pruitt, wasn't it, that Jeremy put in the 01, the blue and white Ford EcoBoost sponsored car. The blue oval car comes across the line now to start its first flying lap and head off towards turn number 1. Both of the Mazdas are in the pit lane, and we'll have a chat with their drivers in a wee second. And Tom Long is just taking his helmet off there. Jeremy Shaw, what's going on with the 2 Sky Active Mazda diesels?
Yeah, well, we can ask Tom Long. He's just hopped out of the 07 car. We've got both the Mazdas on pit lane, Tom, and you can tell us why.
Yeah, well, strategically, where we are with our Sky Active Mazdas, we figure we're going to try to save some tires for the race. So we do have the longest fuel window in the field, so we're going to use that to our advantage and maybe just do it on one stop and one set of tires. So it's trying to strategically play what we can to our advantage.
Yeah, you're one of the few teams here who can contemplate doing this 100-minute race, 1 hour 40 minutes on one pit stop. Most of other people are probably going to have to stop twice. So it is going to be a big strategy race tomorrow, and that is how, of course, that led you to lead a lap at the Daytona 24 Hours, exactly using that long pit stop strategy.
Yeah, and again, our Sky Active diesel is just incredible with Mazda's development and Speed Source's assistance with all of it. So, tomorrow, if we can be the first ones to be in the pit lane and back out, and we catch a lucky yellow, you never know what can happen there at the end.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. This team the team is based in Florida. You're on the East Coast, out here now on the West Coast, where Mazda North America is based out on the West Coast. So you've got a lot of supporters here, Tom.
Yeah, it's incredible. The amount of support that Mazda gives to not only the ladder drivers, but the entire program from, the MX-5 Cup to the open wheel, Mazda Road to Indy side to all the sports car ladder stuff is just incredible. I'm extremely honored and lucky to be here and be a part of this program. And I tell you, these guys work so hard on the Speed Source Mazda program. It's just, it's really a pleasure and honor to be here at Long Beach.
Have fun tomorrow, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
And don't forget Mazda Live, www.mazdalive.com, with onboards of both the 70 and the 07 tomorrow, linked with our IMSA radio commentary and the pre-race show. Some very interesting insights with those guys. That's mazdalive.com. Use the hashtag MRT24, MRT24, Mazda Road 2. The 24. Ricky Taylor on top with a 15.5, but if I look away for a moment and look back, that will probably change, because the timing screen I thought was on the blink a moment or two ago. It was changing so quickly, Greg.
Unbelievable. Christian Fittipaldi is 16 flat, and the to paraphrase a oft-used term in racing, the Visit Florida team sold it to a dummy. They told me it was going to be Westbrook, and it's Valiente during the qualifying. But nice job, up to third at a 16.2 at this point. Then Pruitt in the 01 and Curran in the 31. But it's going to be these next. Oh, and we've done it. A new track record for Ricky Taylor at a 15.291, under the old record by about a tenth in the number 10 Wayne Taylor Racing Machine.
So that's both of the two qualifying records that have gone this weekend. already, and we've still got 7:34 to go in this. We've had 7:27 of green. Remember, each of the sessions have got to have 10 minutes now, isn't it, of green flag. And one of the new things we get on our timing screen this year is accounting up from the last yellow or the last start of the session. Scott Pruitt looking to be on a big one at the moment, was very, very squirrely. Got the power on very, very early. Goes to second, and just half a second away from the pole. 10 from 0-1 from 5, separated by 3/4 of a second. Still within the same second. Michael Valiente now down to 4th position, the 90. Then Eric Curran, still to see fast times from the 60 and the 0 at the moment. But Memo Rojas well in the GT Le Mans field right now, and this session is not over. And typically what we've seen, Greg, with these Continental tyres is that you get them up to pressure and temperature, and then they are tremendously consistent for the rest of the session. And if you want to, you can plug away and keep finding tenths in your driving. The Continental tyres will allow you to do that.
Well, and I think this is a track where that's something you're going to try. Just
again,
why? Track position.
Yeah.
And you'll put a couple more laps on those tires if it will let you get up front and qualify. Because it's so tough to pass here, you can have tires that go off just a little bit and still make it diabolically difficult for anybody to find a way around you. So I think that is something we're going to see play out here. Watching that number 5 Action Express car in the hands of Christian Fittipaldi, working through the hairpin. Boy, did he get through there tighty. Boy, did he pick up the throttle early as well, right to the wall, but it was just like he was on rails. And let's see if he improves on his 15.8. He does, a 15.5, but Pruitt had gone through at a 15.3. The official margin right now from first to second by my sketchy math, 9/1000ths of a second, a 15.291 to a 15.3 flat. That close. Then a 15.5 for Fittipaldi, a 15.8 for Valiente in the 90, and then Curran at a 16.3 in the number 31.
This is beginning to hot up at the front of the field. Who has got the tyres left out of the hairpin? Massive amount of steering lock put on the drivers in the cars, basically crossing the hands. You never do that on the street, of course. It's one of the things that will fail your driving test. But in a racing car, you never want to take your hands off the steering wheel. And it's one of the few places here at Long Beach where all of the cars, including the Formula cars, you have to crank the wheel all the way over till your hands basically touch. And sometimes even that's not enough, and you've got to take one hand off to get a bit more lock on. Through goes Scott Pruitt at 15.255 is good enough for provisional pole by 0.036 of a second. Pruitt came out late, making the most of the track that was clear ahead of him, and the Ford EcoBoost goes to provisional pole.
Fantastic lap. When you think about the issues, the handling issues that they had in the opening 2 rounds, they said we are much better here. But here comes Taylor. Can he knock it down? He does. A 1 minute 15.114 for Ricky Taylor, and to the point.
This is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, it is
for Taylor. He's just like two minds, one thought. As he locks up the fronts going into turn 1, he took the path of least resistance and went into the escape road, which I think is very smart indeed. He'll get the chance for another lap if he gets that turned around and back out, and providing he hasn't damaged the front tyres. Christian Fittipaldi, who the very first time I came here, I was out on the far side of the circuit, and in qualifying in an Indy car, completely nosed up his entrance to one of the corners and crashed into the wall right in front of me and showered me with carbon fibre.
Nice.
I'm sure he doesn't remember that, but it was something that stuck in my memory, I've got to tell you, having an Indy car coming at you at pace. Christian, 3rd position at the moment. He comes across the line behind Ricky Taylor and Scott Pruitt. And Scott Pruitt put a slower one in there, and Fittipaldi improves a 2.74, 15.274. He's closed the gap, but he hasn't gone any higher than 3rd position. Scott Pruitt dropped his pace to a 20 that time around. That is old age and treachery. Just that experience is what I really want to say is working for Scott Pruitt. Comes through 5, goes right to the wall, and already Ricky Taylor heading down the back straight towards turn number 9. Now, does he get his braking right? The sunshine behind him there, beautiful spot for taking photographs, but he's off it. He's off it now.
Yeah.
But he's got one more if he wants it at least, and he might just be winding up to something here.
Well, I think he knows that Pruitt and Fittipaldi obviously have potential.
Oh,
he's
yes,
going to
he's
stay
on
out.
it.
And this, you know, when he went straight down there and won, he may have been able to make the corner, but he would have probably locked up. Even if he didn't wreck, he locked up. Well, if you trash the tires, what happens? You go to the back if you have to change more than one.
That's a good point.
Smart move. Again, track position. We're going to hammer that, but it's huge. What does Pruitt do to improve his?
15.255, his best time, and he's gone to the point again. 15.0. Wow. Are we going to see a 14 something? 15.094 from Pruitt, and he's stayed on it, has he? Yes, he has. Into turn one, he's got clear track ahead of him as he heads towards the fountain, almost clipping the walls on either side now. Meantime, Ricky Taylor, this is like a high-stakes game of poker at 155 miles an hour plus around this circuit as they are betting and rebetting, raising the stakes at every turn. Now, who busts out? Who goes all in? That's the big question here. Is there going to be drama in the last 90 seconds before the 100 minutes of the race tomorrow? Christian Fittipaldi, 15.2. in third place, Ricky Taylor 15.1 in second place, 15 flat for the provisional pole sitter at the moment. Scott Pruitt, nothing between these guys out on the head of the field.
Here he comes. Taylor needs to. He does it! A 14.9. John, you called it.
Dong.
A 14.
Ding dong, Ricky Taylor calling. Oh my God.
After an off, too.
But that
gathered it up in a hurry.
I've got to tell you, that was smart driving by Taylor that's got him anywhere near this. Here comes the 5 car of Christian Fittipaldi. Now, what can he do? And Pruitt's on a quick one as well. Fittipaldi goes through now and does a 15.4. Pruitt comes through and does a 15 what? His time hasn't updated as he came through there. 15.048. Is that an improvement?
Close. That's fast lap, yep.
I think that is, yes, it is.
Wow.
So he didn't quite get down, but we've still got 19 seconds. He got through.
I loved your analogy of the gambling.
Yeah.
But the stakes are pretty high here. You're not talking a couple $1,000. You're talking 8,000 pounds of K-rail.
Yeah.
That's your bet.
Yeah, exactly right.
You know.
And a slap on the back of the head from your crew chief if you get it horribly wrong. The checkered flag is out. Appropriately enough, I think the first person to see it will be Ricky Taylor.
Yeah, I think you're right.
As he goes through now. Improvement from John Pugh there, actually, just ahead of him. And Ricky Taylor goes to a 14.7. 14.790. That gives him a 10th and a half. Here comes the blue and white Ford EcoBoost car of Scott Pruitt. He needs to get into the... No, he can't do it. 15.3. Didn't improve. So on the pit wall, Wayne Taylor pulls off the headset, flicks his hands through the hair, and congratulations to all. A very happy father, Jeremy Shaw, down at WTR.
Yeah, we got a very happy chappy here. Congratulations, Wayne. Your son there did you proud. What a great lap that was at the end by Ricky Taylor.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't expect it to be that close. I mean, we knew it would be close, but it really was. I mean, he was on it, and we thought he actually had it.
Not bad for an old guy, is he?
No, he needs to slow down, you know. But it's good for Ricky, you know. He needs a pole. I know he wanted the pole, and he made it happen.
Yeah, jubilation there for you when you saw that time come up on that last lap.
Oh, yes, very happy. We already recognized that when it slowed down, so all good.
Yeah, all good here at Wayne Taylor Racing, so it'll be pole position for Ricky Taylor.
And again, Greg, multiple laps that would have given him pole and the lap record, and Scott Pruitt as well. A 10th and a half between first and second, another 10th and a half back to Christian Fittipaldi on a 15.2. That's just brilliant stuff. Christian Fittipaldi, that's better than the old qualifying record. So once again, the top three have done it by ending in third. So 10.01. 5.90 are your top four, with Eric Curran pulling the 31 car up into 5th position right at the end there, and he's only a second away. That's great stuff at the head of the field, and Ricky Taylor's coming in. We'll have a quick word with him, but again, proving what we said about those Continental tyres. You can get the performance out, bring them up gently, get the performance out of them, and Ricky Taylor rolled off 3 cracking laps there.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular. He had that great first lap. Then he had the problem down in turn 1. Wisely, as you said, brilliantly chose the runoff. Didn't hurt the tires. Came back and then threw down those 14. Stellar stuff. And for this team, the opening 2 rounds, both races for the Wayne Taylor crew at Daytona, at Sebring, they struggled from the get-go. Problems early, and then at Sebring, they were fighting that braking issue the whole race. At Daytona, they had the engine management issue. They never gave up on it, ended up with great comeback runs. But you heard Jordan say, we came off the trailer strong today, and boy, did they parlay it into something very special.
Jeremy Shaw is down with the pole sitter. We're up against it on time, but we absolutely want to have a word with the pole sitter. A new qualifying record holder, Jeremy Shaw, down with the Taylors.
Yeah, a thrilled Ricky Taylor. Big hug from your dad there, Ricky. What a great lap that was.
Thanks. I mean, it's been a long time since I've had a pole, and man, we've got a great car here. Our Corvette's really fast. I'm glad we could, you know, get the most out of the car right there at the end, and just very excited, especially here at Long Beach. Track position's so important, and you know, I know this should bode well for the rest of the weekend.
Well, no, when you first came into sports cars, you became known as the pole king. You had, what, 8 poles in the season?
What happened?
And what happened? So what does it mean to you now to be back here on the pole here in Long Beach particularly?
Yeah, it means a lot, and that year we were on a really good streak, and you know, now after having such a drought of not having poles, it makes you really appreciate this one, and this one really goes out to the team and Corvette and Konica Minolta. We got a bunch of people here, so it's nice to do it for those guys.
Good job here, man.
Thanks.
And a brilliant job by Jeremy Shaw, hustling around in the pit lane to get us that right on the buzzer. Greg Kramer was alongside me here in the booth. I'm John Hindorf, and if our 2 qualifying sessions have not whet your appetite for the 3rd round of the Tudor United Sports Car Championship, really, come on, what more would you like us to do? A tap dance, a song and dance? No, absolutely not. What we'll bring you tomorrow with live coverage here on IMSA Radio is the 3rd round of the IMSA Tudor United Sports Car Championship, live from the streets of Long Beach. It's a Saturday race, remember. Check local listings for details. But for the moment, we'll congratulate Bill Oberlin and Ricky Taylor for their pole positions and qualifying records on the main streets of Long Beach. Have a good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.